Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So dear Dhamma friends, as ordinary people, every day we have a struggle to get out of these difficult situations in our life. Get out of these dramas, heartbreakings, incidents, situations, sometimes that environment we don't like. So, and mostly to get out of that kind of situation, sometimes we get the advice from the same kind of situations, or to get out of the incident, sometimes we follow the information from the same kind of incident that happened to somebody. There are two methods. That one is that, as example, the Kisa Gautami, when her child died. So what happened? She went to house, and then later she understood this is not personal. So in that point of view, sometimes when something happened to us, if you not hold as personal, and then if you use the common sense or the other's experience to get out of it, and that will help you to find some kind of peace, or it will help you to get out of that situation. But there is a risk also. Sometimes we collect others' information, so the others' experience, other situations, to empower our self-experience. So then it becomes more risky. So then always you have to remember, when there is a situation come to get out of it, the method you use sometimes can take you away from it, and at the same time, if you not become very clear, it can take you to more worse situation. So like as example, you are in sad situation, and when you are in that sad situation, if you hear some kind of sad songs or watch sad movies, and it empower, ignite, increase your sadness more and more, and maybe it will help to hold it as a more personal experience. And then rather than getting out of it, you more go into it. So that's why in the Vipassana practice, in the beginning you develop an art to see, because you have to have a kind of like an analytical mind to use others' experience to gain the good benefit out of it. If you don't develop an analytical method, or if you don't develop art to see properly, sometimes others' experience create worse situations inside us. So the very first thing then, when a situation comes to you, the very first step you have to take, rescue your mind for a while and keep the calmness. It doesn't matter whatever the situation come. The very first thing, somehow try to find a calm space in your mind, because that calmness is very necessary. Why? Because if you look for the solution, it always need to be realistic. So otherwise it's not kind of like a blind with the blind faith. So maybe you get into mantra or chanting or some kind of puja or doing something, and if you don't see the reality, if you cannot get that if you don't understand how it happened or why it happened, you will never get out of it. But mostly in day-to-day life, we try to cover it from this certain kind of way that we used to believe, and maybe it is traditional things, cultural things, spiritual things, religious things. Just for the moment we cover the situation and then we become happy, but we never look into deeper and see, analyze and understand why this happened like this way. But to see like that way, the very first quality that you have to have, calm mind. So to get into calm mind, you cannot keep doing something that with the whatever that in day-to-day life, in our culture, in our tradition, if you believe just doing it, you can get out of it. So mostly when the situation comes, rather than looking for calmness, we just try to get into things, and we try to use some kind of alternative ways to fix the problem. But if you develop the mind, there is one method that for sure it's going to work for you, and it will not only that, it will never going to take you to that kind of situations again in your life. So that method is seeing it very clearly and recognizing and analyzing why this happened like this way. So for that you have to have the calmness. So then the very first step, when it going to develop the calmness, when you are in the situation, you don't use the same kind of experience to cover that situation. So as example, you are in sad moment. If you want to calm down your mind, don't use kind of like a sad songs, sad movies or sad stories. It may help you to find the balance in this moment, but that doesn't mean you recognize the truth. So the calmness means in that very moment, you, without reflecting or reminding whatever the situations happen, you completely get out of it and bring your attention to something else, especially something positive or profitable skill, rather than staying with the problem or thinking with the problem or the situation, sadness, worry, unhappiness. You get out of it, or even for 1 minute, just do something else, whatever, something profitable. In that very moment, you reach to some kind of calmness. Why? Because you're not repeating the same unhappiness or the sadness or the worry. So that calmness become a good investment for your deeper analytical understanding. So again and again, when you do it few times, what is happening? there is a moment arise for you to recognize and see the reality. So once you see the reality, you don't need any kind of other advice from something or somebody, because your mind has certain capacity to deal with anything in this world. But we forget that. We always think when something happened to us, we always look help from outside. We forget our inner capability, capacity. We forget our inner strength. Your body, your mind has a certain immunity that deal with this world. So when it comes to human body, your mind, just try to catch this. Your mind has capability and capacity to deal with this any kind of suffering, unhappiness itself without getting any advice from others. But the thing is, in the very first time when you go through some kind of experience, unbalanced sadness, worry, if you start to believe that you need that the advice from somebody, you need to read a book from somebody, you need to hear something from somebody, then you lose that inner capacity. But this doesn't mean that when something happens, you go whatever the way that you think. No, the very first thing, you have to remember to develop a calmness to get that ability. If you become calm, in that calmness, you have ability to see reality. So when you see the reality, in that reality, you recognize the true nature. When you see the true nature, in that very moment, your mind becomes free from what you suffering. So it is a step-by-step process. In the meditation, especially when it comes to samatha and vipassana, so in the samatha meditation, there is a moment come, things become, you recognize things as it is. So without getting disturbed from something. And then in vipassana, you recognizing how it come to be as it is. So like that when it come to mind, when the situation come, that the same ability, you recognize that situation as it is without adding something to it, without collecting and putting some other memories to it. You separately recognize it. And then in that recognition, you able to see how it became that kind of situation. So when you see that, that seeing itself becomes the solution. So then in day-to-day life, develop a pattern yourself as a human being. There is something, there was a history in the past, remember. People used to deal with this all the life without reading books. They have done better than us. And today we have all the books and the internet and Google and Yahoo and this all the TV net, the channels and information, news, that everything. We have these outside resources, but at the same time, we lose that inner calmness and capability to analyze. And because of that, whatever these are, again and again, we depending from outside. So then that dependency never allow you to look inside. So that's why now it is kind of like we have to do classes, class. It's like a cookery class, swimming class, sewing class. You know. So it's like a class, mechanical class, you know, engineering class, and now it's meditation class. So why people need to go to class and learn to meditate? Because the meditation itself inherent in you, that you are human being means, your understanding means that itself your meditation, your life is should be meditation. It is not something you go to a class and learn something and then you apply. It's not like that. The way you're living is coming to a point to understand things really, naturally, and clearly as it is. So then in day-to-day life, if you experience your life without clear mind, itself that can make a misery, disappointed, unhappy. So how this happened like this way? Because we now we depending from more outside information. And when something happened to you, you read the book and how to get out of this, how to become this, how to become that, like that way. And if you write a book tomorrow, whatever you put there, 1, 2, 3 method and how to attain to enlightenment, people buy it. So people develop this kind of mindset now, and they don't see the inner capacity, capability. So remember, when you become a human being, in your mind, in your body, you have certain capacity. That capacity has no limit. It can reach to the highest level of human intellect. That's mean the nibbana. You don't come, when it come to a human being, if your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind work properly, and it doesn't go half a level until beyond that you cannot go. No, you can develop to the highest. You have capability. It's like the trees. It grow as much as it can. If the sky is free. So same like you. There is no that somebody better than you when it come to mind. You and me and everyone has the same capacity. But look yourself, when a situation comes, don't develop a beggary mindset. You need somebody's help. Because how you know that other person, whoever help for you, or whoever wrote that write that books and give that advices. Most, as you know, most of the psychologists, how many psychologists suicide themselves? How it is possible? Psychologists, they study the mind, but their own mind kill them. So you read that people's advice, and then you apply it to your life, then what will happen to you? So that's why start to believe your mind a little bit. It is not developing an egocentric mind. No, just get into calmness. That is the first step that you have to develop. How you can get into calmness? When a situation comes, just little bit, get out of your bodily, verbally, and mentally actions. It's a, when you are unhappy, don't do any kind of, bodily, verbally, or mentally actions. And even when you are really happy, don't do too much actions because you're going to make mistakes. So find little calmness. It is a kind of like attitude. It is a skill that you have to develop. So in that calmness, it will help you to see things very clearly. That is where your mind going to work, because if you don't see things very clearly, the mind doesn't get it. So the seeing means it is not like physically that we see. For the mind, it very clearly get the information. When the mind has capability to see and the mind has capability to understand. And once you understand, that understanding it itself become the solutions for all the difficulties. So even see that this meditation, we deeply recognize, we see ourselves the change. And once you see change yourself, you no need someone else advice to let go, release. Because yourself, you get out of it. So the mind is thoughts. And your sadness, unhappiness, worry also just thoughts. And wisdom also just the thoughts. So then what happening when you become lack of with that thoughts, when you don't develop that, just the other part of the thoughts, when it become higher, 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 then it become your life. So in the very first thing that we have to do, you find a gap. That gap we call calmness. That is what does through the samatha mental culture, tranquility meditation. You find a gap, calmness. In that calmness, you go to a point to see. In that seeing, you analyze, you recognize. In that recognition, you understand. So when the time comes, when you have the ability to see the truth or the reality itself, that seeing or that ability become the solution to your any problem. And that is where you become free from all the tangles. So then any situation come and you know the method. So it is not later or before you're going to apply. In that very moment when it happened, that method work. It's not going to use it before or after. No, in that very moment, you use that. In that very moment, whatever the incident happens, sadness, worry, unhappiness arise in you, in that very moment, you use the calmness and analyzing and recognizing and see the reality. So in this very moment, what is happening? And there is no gap to experience or apply something. So that way, moment by moment, your life becomes very clear, step by step, step by step. In that clarity, you become free from all the difficulties and tangles. So that is the method with the meditation and in day-to-day life, how you can apply it to yourself. So there was a king, and one time he announced to all the artists in his kingdom to draw a piece of art regarding calmness. And then all the artists, very skillful artists, and they send their arts to this competition. And then there was a picture, very nice, beautiful mountain and the river and the trees. So everything looked in details, everything was calm. And whoever came to see this art, everybody thought, oh, this is the best. This is going to win. And then what happened? But the later, the king desired something else. And he mentioned another piece of art as the best piece of art. So what was that? It was kind of like a very dark sky, thunder, and the wind, and it also had the mountains, but very rough river, and it's kind of like a very dangerous environment. unrest environment. But in that environment, in a place, in a little, there was a tree. In that tree also going here and there because of the wind, the branches was so kind of like wild. In that tree, there was a little nest. And in that nest, there was a bird sitting. And then in that very dangerous, difficult environments, that bird was sitting and without getting disturbed that anything. And the king thought, this is the best. This is what called the peace and happiness or the calmness. So like that. It is not about the changing environment and depending from environment. It is how we develop the art to be calm and see the reality within ourselves. And that will take you through any situation in life. So with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu mate bhavattantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Ittavata ca ammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idamme punya kammang asavakkaya vahangotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.